A unique combination of features creates one of the most fun venues in American motorsports to open the Verizon IndyCar Series season. It's the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg in downtown St. Petersburg, Florida. Start with a vibrant, lively downtown full of shops, restaurants, and a lot of fun. The waterfront, yacht club, a ballpark, even an airport runway. Put all those together with palm trees, high-tech, high-speed race cars, and racing stars from America and around the world. The result can only be some fast Florida fun. Words we've waited months to hear. The first command-to-start engines of the new IndyCar season.
Please welcome today's Grand Marshal, three-time Super Bowl champion and ESPN personality, Mark Schlereth, to give the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
Ready to race in St. Petersburg. Jan Beekes is ready to report.
And one of the big stories, Alan, over the off-season that was displayed here at St. Petersburg is the reinvigorated Honda program, I guess you could say. There wasn't big engine changes allowed. However, in combined practice here at St. Petersburg, Honda and Honda teams filled the top 6 positions. Now remember, last year, Chevrolet won 13 out of 15 races, and Honda has never won this race since 2012 when there was engine competition. But judging by combined practice, they've got a shot today, Doc.
Team Penske has dominated the competition here in St. Petersburg, winning 6 of the last 8 races with 4 different drivers. But it was a bit of a surprise to see that they've struggled to find speed this weekend until it really mattered when Will Power had some heroics and found the pole yesterday. They will start up front. One other advantage for Penske, the pits were selected based on last year's points, so Simon Pagenaud, the champion, who starts way back in 14th today, will have the very first pit stall, which means he can blast off here completely unobstructed. And in a place like this where track position is so critical, that could be huge. Now, from Team Penske up front with all the advantages, let's go back to a team in the back who may be looking to find some. Here's Rick.
Well, that's right, Doc. You know, Dale Coyne's team has proven over the years that they can do a lot with a little. Think about this. They've won 4 races over the last 8 years, and they do not have Roger Penske's budget. This year, well, that man right there, Dale Coyne, has hired Sebastian Bourdais, former champion, to drive for him. Dale's also brought in extra engineering, paying for it all out of his own pocket. Unfortunately, yesterday, Sebastian had some problems in qualifying. As a result, he's going to have to start from the back of the pack. But over the years, Dale Coyne has proven a master of strategy. He has the ability to move his guys from the back up to that lead pack. And that's exactly what I expect to happen with Sebastian Bourdais today.
Here we go, ready for the start of a new season. Power and Dixon to the green flag in St. Petersburg.
Green.
Trouble. Graham Rahal turned around on approach to turn 3.
I stalled, but the car seems to be okay.
You know, I was just about ready to say that they were getting through there. I thought it was going to be different than some of the support races that we had earlier on, but Graham Rahal, again, hit from behind by the looks of it.
It was a photocopy of what happened in the Indy Lights race. It wasn't the cars going into the corners that everybody slows down like that bottleneck we were talking about. He says his car is okay. I don't think he can see the rear wing.
There is a full course yellow. There are 2 other cars right up against the wall. Yeah, there are the other cars. Charlie Kimball is one.
And then a Foyt car.
That is Carlos Munoz and the other one of the AJ Foyt racing cars. Discussed before the start that turns 1 and turn 3 here at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg might be tricky on starts and restarts. Turn 3 certainly turned out to be that way on the opening lap.
You know, and Eddie, I wonder sometimes because this front stretch is so wide, it really promotes people to go instead of single file or 2x2, 3 or 4 wide. And as we saw here, the collision was happening. Too many people going for the inside there on that piece of real estate.
You're absolutely right. But what we have to remind everybody is that you don't have spotters. There's no spotter to tell you that somebody's coming up. on one side, on a blind side, on a road course like this. So Rahal, if you can see Rahal, he did, coming out of the next corner, this one here that we're looking at, he did have some space, but I'm not sure he knew that Kimball was even on the inside.
And we are back under the green flag. Will Pagenaud in the 12, James Hinchcliffe in the 5, side by side for the lead out of turn 1.
And they're still 2 abreast, exiting 2.
Hinchcliffe to the point.
You got to say, a nice move by James Hinchcliffe. Remember, the tires are still not up to full operating temperature, and he goes around the outside. A bit of a surprise move. Pretty darn good.
And to add to that, everybody's been very careful with their brakes because they're not quite sure when they get up to temperature. Hinchcliffe has been fast throughout this whole weekend. The series champion is now up to 9th, Pagenaud.
Map 6 is tire save. When you get to that point, let's try and do it sooner rather than later. So I'll let you make the call.
Hinch's radio if it is, now that he's got a little bit of a gap. So running order now across the top of the screen you see. Hinchcliffe, Power, Dixon, Sato, Kanaan, your top 5. You just mentioned Pagenaud up to 9th. After the series champ started in 14th. Simon Pagenaud started 14th, running 9. 5 wins a year ago. Guy who, when I saw him out at the Phoenix test back in February, was just so calm and relaxed. He said, look, I came to America to be a champion. I've done that. Now I'm just going after trophies. He just gives up a spot.
And he's probably been told 100 times this weekend, Scott, that he has a new young American as a teammate.
He's been asked that question many times. And he has some fun with the media when they ask him that question. But when you and I spoke with him the other day, Eddie, it was interesting. We both walked away going, the confidence that he now has, and all he focused on was, yes, doing the publicity for winning the championship over the winter as he watches #1 car come through here now, just watching how he gets through the turns, see if he can get the power down, very smooth as he always is. But the confidence that he had, we noticed right away, and then how focused he was, like you said, winning races, and he's now training more than ever, but he's now training on a bike inside his house, does not want to take the risk of riding on a road, and then during the season, getting hit by a car or something of that nature, not being able to compete. Here's a guy that's just focused on his job.
He drives for Penske.
From second place, Will Power is on pit road. Doc?
Yeah, they were talking about saving fuel and then trying to run down Hinchcliffe. Next thing you know, he said, I'm coming. So they had the tires laid out. They were basically letting him test to see what he could do fuel mileage-wise. They wanted to get 3.7. That's why he backed up from Hinch and said, use some fuel to run him down. And then they will come in and take off the reds that they used in qualifying. And then on the primary black tire, down on the way, just over 6 seconds. Power's first stop of the day.
Does he hit this hose here leaving pit road?
Oh, yeah.
He does, yeah.
Yeah. Front wheel spit it out. That's not good. That is under review by IndyCar officials and race control.
And we see Will Power coming in for his drive-through right now. But Scott Dixon is the master, getting around the track faster than anybody else and not using as much fuel. So we'll see if Scott Dixon can stay out just a little bit longer, about a lap or so, over James Hinchcliffe. We'll end up finding out very quickly who's making better fuel mileage.
All right, so Power gets the pass-through penalty done. He will stay in front of Hinchcliffe. He will be the last car on the lead lap, back in 18th place. James Hinchcliffe won this race in 2013. Has not led a lap here since, but he is out in front today, the second leader of this event. And he is in command by 3.4 seconds. 50-mile-an-hour pit road speed limit, and he's got company. That's Pagenaud and Andretti in behind him. Rick?
Marco pulls the car, and he had a problem during qualifying yesterday that moved him further back in the pack. But they didn't make any big changes. According to Brian Hurt, his strategist, when you got a good car, it's good. Go with it. Jan?
And Coney Kanaan, sure enough, is getting a wing change and a set of sticker black tires. Let's get up to Doc.
Simon Pagino, one of his 7 drivers to start on the sticker black tires, now put on the sticker reds. And by the way, on the harder compound, he went from 14th to 9th, did a great job, and now with the reds, he should be even quicker. No changes.
Guys, I'm going to tell you how hard that is. Right there on cold tires, see Tony Kanaan right now trying to defend a little bit. He's going to do a little squeezing there. Mikhail Loshin, a little bit of contact right there. You can see the front wing damage now on Mikhail. But just as I started to say that, coming out and trying to get up to speed with the cold tires, so very difficult.
Red 4, how's the car?
Bad. The car is bad.
Now that became an issue because coming out of 3, Tony wanted to just move over a little bit, take the lane away.
Full course yellow, just stay packed up. Just stay packed up, stay out.
Now going towards the the entrance to turn 4. Tony thinks he's got the room clear, so he goes down towards the apex right by the curbing, but you can see the red and black car, Mikhail Loshin, is still there. So Tony said somebody hit me because he just really didn't think anybody was there.
So coming to the opening of pit lane, back through Max Chilton in the 8 car, the blue and white car. That is 7th in line. All have not pitted yet. Here they come.
This is where the pit crew really earn their pay. And make 2 seconds is enormous difference. Rick?
Well, it's unfortunate for James Hinchcliffe. They had been working on saving tires, working on the strategy to make sure he stayed up front. And that yellow is going to hurt him severely. They're not even making changes on the car. It was so good.
Sato also taking service and no changes on the front wing. And wow, it was a quick stop ahead of him. I was keeping an eye on Scott Dixon as well. And we could see that Scott Dixon gets out with a very quick stop. Routine service for Sato, but boy, some fast stops here at pit out.
This was the 5th place car, Spencer Pigot. Watch the left rear as he came to pit road.
Look at all those bits coming out of it.
And Eddie, we wondered what was going on there. You said a drive shaft. Maybe it's true, but whatever it did, it's obviously damaged the suspension because the car came down on the track. I'm sure we'll get a pit report on that. But disappointing for Spencer Pigot because he had a great run going on there. Rick, you have more?
Yeah, it was the disc. In fact, as he was coming in, Spencer Pigot told the crew, I think I got a problem in the left rear. I see smoke, and as you saw when he came in fact, the tire lit on fire. They managed to pull it off. Now they're replacing the entire brakes on the left rear.
Coming to the restart. That will happen at lap 30 of 110. Down at the end of the front stretch.
And Dixon got caught in the worst place he possibly could be.
Yeah, he was making some good moves coming up to that point. One car through the backside of the curbing in turn 3. Now they do have a timeline there, and so what they'll turn around and do is see if he improved his position. And if he does...
It was Connor Daly.
Connor Daly, there you go. If he has improved his position, then he'll have to go back behind the vehicle that he passed.
Or they can call you in the pits.
Well, what's the best of that? Let the guy go back through instead of doing the drive-through in the pit lane.
So Pagino, Bourdais, now Marco Andretti and Ed Jones in 3rd and 4th. J.R. Hildebrand is running 5th. Here is the shortcut at turn 3.
Knocked around a little bit. I mean, it looked like he could have still gone around the opposite side, but if he didn't improve his position, race control will look at that, make a determination, and let him continue on.
They are instructing as Andretti gets challenged here. Ed Jones goes through, the rookie, the only rookie running the full series this year. Jones, the 22-year-old, originally from England, has lived for a long time in Dubai and has had a good deal of success in that Mazda Road to Indy feeder system to bring him to this level.
So we know that Bourdais and Pagenaud are on two totally different fuel strategies. In 2 laps, Bourdais has put 2.5 seconds between himself and Pagenaud.
They only pitted 1 lap apart under the green, by the way. Bourdais was in at lap 23. Pagenaud was in at lap 24.
I'm just watching how smooth Sebastian Bourdais is. You see Pagenaud now just starting to go past cars that are having a little difficulty. We saw Graham Rahal a little bit earlier on the Steak and Shake car get involved in something in the first lap, so he's been in and out of the pits a few times. But Sebastian Bourdais and Simon Pagenaud, 2 of the very best road course specialists that are just doing a tremendous job here.
Oh, Rossi and Dixon will get him this time.
Yes, you won't shut down Dixon twice successfully.
As we watch the cars come out of 3 there, the curbing at the top of your screen, the drivers say if you hit that curbing, it throws you out off to the track towards the wall. So all those drivers are being very cognizant not to ride that curb very much.
Now, Rossi has Kanaan all over the back of his gearbox.
Now this is pretty deep in the pack. This is 13th, 14th, and 15th positions.
Scott Dixon taking this opportunity to make a pit stop, and he is right on the border of this being his next to last stop. In other words, he needs to now save some fuel to get to that next spot. Now, you see behind him Tony Kanaan, teammates. Tony Kanaan's been on the radio saying the brakes are gone, yet he's staying right behind Scott Dixon. So gone is a relative term, but not as precise as he would like.
You know, it's interesting watching those 2 cars, a bit of a battle right now. Ryan Hunter-Reay on the inside of J.R. Hildebrand, a nice clean move.
Joseph Newgarden in the middle of it.
A little pack up here on board now with Joseph Newgarden.
And once again, Connor Daly is racing better than he qualified. He's keeping his own. That is a tough group to run with.
Watch him work the throttle here. How difficult this section is. That's a parking lot we're going over, guys. A lot of parking spaces you're driving. Turn up the crown of the road. Watch the car fall down the crown of the road. Trying to put power down, so difficult. Up through the gears. Watch the speed here, how quick it is.
Well, Marco Andretti had a very fast car all weekend long. Thought he was going to do better in qualifying. You see they made a minor wing adjustment, send it back out. Same thing for James Hinchcliffe. Once again, now they just need the strategy to come back to these guys.
Joseph Newgarden taking this opportunity. We're going to see a lot of people on pit road because this is the point where you can now make it in one more stop after this without saving lots of fuel. We already documented that what we saw for the Ganassi team, what we saw for Dixon and for Kanaan, they're going to have to be backing off. People who stop now can stay on the throttle more and make time. Bourdais, meanwhile, stays out and takes that advantage.
First time Sebastian Bourdais ran this race in St. Petersburg was in 2003. He started on the pole, led the first 30 laps. He has never led again at this racetrack until today, as the guys just off the pit lane are scrambling around with some of the guys that are out there on hotter tires.
A back end of Tony Kanaan stepping out. He was a little frustrated, wanted to get on the gas to get a run going down the straightaway and end up losing just a bit of time.
And Jones pitting on the left while we watch this scramble continue on the right.
Sebastian Bourdais has been happy with the car so far. The important thing is the way they were saving fuel was not by changing what they call the map, the way they do it from an engine perspective on the dash. They simply told him to ease up on the pedal, do it on his own, and they got exactly the fuel number they wanted. Nice clean stop, and he's out. Doc?
And here's the champ, Simon Pagenaud. He did save fuel, got to 3-3. They're going to black tires. They'll go back to sticker ranch for the final stint. He will make one more stop, uneventful stop for Pagenaud.
And there, shuffling back to the lead, is Sebastian Bourdais. Simon Pagenaud is 3.5 seconds behind Bourdais in second. Then it's Power, Sato, Jones, Andretti, Castroneves, Dixon, Hinchcliffe, and Hunter-Reay, your top 10 for the moment.
Well, when you talk about who's going full go and who is saving fuel, all you have to do is look at the pit order. So those who pitted early are forced into saving fuel, like a Scott Dixon, Tony Kanaan. all these that we saw pit later, like Sebastian Bourdais, Takuma Sato, the later you pit, then you have the opportunity to go full go. That's the idea about staying out. And when you see there's a probability of a caution of 83%, that's called the danger zone. You're taking a risk, but it played right into the hands of these, in particular, Bourdais and Sato at the moment.
It's lonely at the top. Sebastian Bourdais in a single-seat race car. Can't even see second place in his rearview mirror. I guess if you're a race driver, that's ideally what you would like.
Just as you like it, absolutely. That's what you want. Right now, you know, he's probably trying to get to lap 84, so then he can have one more stop to the end. I guess another thing that we're looking at here with fuel numbers and what have you, maybe he's going to maybe get to 80. Is he saving enough fuel to make up a few more laps? Guess we're going to have to remain seen.
Ryan Hunter-Reay on James Hinchcliffe for 9th spot.
Oh, no, that's about 85 miles an hour now, up to about 130.
Yeah, he's got a quicker car than Hinchcliffe right now.
Another one of those days that you might come away with saying, oh, what might have been. Remember that in the morning warm-up this morning, Hunter-Reay had a rear brake failure and crashed hard at turn 10. They had to, go ahead.
Basically go back and rebuild the car. And
now here he is running 9th.
He's running a strong 9th.
Yeah. And that's basically departmentizing what went on earlier today and getting to the job at hand, the task at hand here on the racetrack today.
Here is our pole sitter, Will Power, who will come in and make his stop. He should be between 5 and 6 laps short on fuel because of the unscheduled stop on lap 14. They're going to go with sticker reds. He will need a lot of help. Yellow flag laps, waiting on fuel. Got to wait on getting completely full of fuel if he has any shot.
Rossi has to be thinking that he just wants to get 4 or 5 more laps in. Oh, that was close. Yeah, I would say the handling is changing a little bit. But he's got to get as many laps as he can out of the fuel that's in his tank. Otherwise, he'll have to stop again, just like Power will, unless there's a yellow.
It was Kanan that took a quick peek on Will Power. Power just off the pit lane. So watching Rossi
now the handling
carefully.
has changed. That's twice he's gotten sideways coming out of a corner.
You know, it's the slow turns that don't bother me. It's the high-speed turns like the ones that we're going to come up to here very shortly that always bother me. Just watch the speed always increase through here. Listen to this. Didn't even lift, so he's not too worried. That's bravery.
He needs to get as many laps as he can out of this fuel tank.
Joseph Newgarden running in 11th position we ride with.
As we watch Rossi, who's right in front of him, when the tire's starting to go down, everything that you've been doing all day long that you're so used to, that muscle memory that you have, it all changes. So now you have to compensate for what the car is doing underneath you. It turns in differently, it grips differently, the power down is differently, and the driver has to compensate for that.
Let's remember what he accomplished last year in Indianapolis. He was told he had to save fuel on a circuit that's almost impossible to save fuel on, and he did it and won the Indy 500. So right now, he will use that same mindset as trying to make the most out of the car that he has to try to drag it out as long as he can. And he's doing it. He's got Newgarden behind him who's in a hurry to get past him. But you were right, Scott. That fast left-hander has got to be troublesome with a tire that's getting flatter and flatter.
There
He's
he
going
goes.
in the pits.
So with 31 laps to go, Rossi's in, Jan.
And Eddie was correct. He wanted to stay out to try to use as much of the fuel as he could, but they monitored that tire and said, no, you need to pit now. He can make it to the end, but he won't be able to be as racy as he was previously. So he's going with sticker reds, as you can see. Routine stop, but this will force him into not being able to go full go, but he'll be able to do so with pressure in all 4 tires.
Which does help. Tony Kanaan also on and off the pit lane.
So these two drivers really need a yellow.
Scott Dixon stopping with 30 to go, Jan.
Yes, and he's been somewhat bit by strategy. Mike Hull, who's on the radio to Scott Dixon earlier, said, hey, let's burn some fuel now to get through this traffic. And we'll say that on the back end, well, he just got stuck in a group of traffic while having to save fuel and couldn't pick up position. But we do know that Scott Dixon is the master of that. At 7.6 seconds on that stop, that is an award-winning crew for sure. But now it's up to Scott Dixon figuring out, okay, I got to save fuel, but have major pace to stay with everybody else.
And let's remind everybody he has reds on, so he's ready to go fast.
So Dixon blends back in 9th place. 50 seconds behind the leader that still needs to make another pit stop. When will that be is the mystery. I started to notice before, and it shows up very well in the twisty parts of the circuit. Look at some of the tire marbles that are beginning to show up offline. Another obstacle. You don't want to get a little wide and wind up in that.
And if you do, it's like you lose all of your grip, Scott, don't you? It just becomes impossible to drive.
You saw a lot of it there going through the left-right chicane, but I'll tell you, it really feels. And here's Marco, Rick.
Marco Andretti coming in, talked with Brian Herta just a few moments ago, said they've been very happy with the car. They made a minor adjustment last time, but overall, Marco's been happy all day. Now, the leader of the race. This man right here, Sebastian Bourdais, brings the car in. Their plan is to go to red tires. They don't plan to make any changes. I will tell you, about 5 laps ago, they came on the radio and told Sebastian Bourdais that he was in his fuel window if there was a yellow flag.
Well, by making it to lap 82, he's made it to the point that the winner made his last pit stop the last 2 years. Daly leaving just ahead of Bourdais.
Bourdais is brimming with confidence right now. He has led the majority of the race.
Oh, Sato! Wow, a big slide into his pit, Jan.
Yes, that was close, and they're going to make, and there's some slow. The right front air gun is not releasing. They were not able to get that nut off. Oh, this is crushing.
Back it up.
I had mentioned earlier there was a team that gave their air guns a spin to be sure everything was fine. That one did not have enough torque, and you could just see the cars flashing in the background. He wanted that front wing, but that is not. And look out for Newgarden, man. This is crazy down here.
I guess. And that was Sato's team, by the way, on that last pit stop, Jan, that had the scramble to find the air gun. Here is Simon Pagenaud. We'll watch the blend when he comes off the pit lane with Sebastian Bourdais to see where they end up relative to one another for this last dash to the checkers. There he is, Doc.
Pagenaud has been so frustrated. He was watching Bourdais pull away to an 8-second lead, and he was helpless. They told him, you got to save more fuel, save more fuel. And now he is in. They will put sticker reds on, actually, and they are upping the air pressure. They told the driver they're going to raise the air pressure on these tires. That's important for him to know here in the final stint.
So the difference between one running full out and one saving fuel in that last stint leaves that gap on the racetrack for Pagenaud to try and make up.
At this point of the race, every second makes a difference.
Change for a podium spot as Will Power is off the pace. He was running third. He's now back in 12th and losing ground. Something not sounding completely right with that 12 car.
This is the beginning of a new season where Honda last year had some problems, but now they seem to be very powerful and very fuel efficient.
A year ago, I'm sorry, Scott.
Yeah, Alexander Rossi very nicely doing a gentleman move of moving over, letting Sebastian Bourdais through. They always say, you know, what goes around comes around, so there may be a day where Alexander Rossi needs a little help and assistance from Sebastian Bourdais. Those things are remembered in driver's memory bank.
Nerves of trying to get the W in the top spot on the podium. A year ago, Chevrolet won 14 of the 16 races in the Verizon IndyCar Series. His wife looks on as Sebastian comes to take the white flag. One more lap to go in the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg.
Last lap, bring it home.
There's his teammate Ed Jones in front of him.
I'm sure if you saw Claire's fingers were crossed on both ends.
These are the hardest laps for the family to sit in the pits.
Yeah, we know what's going on in the car. It's pretty simple for us. We just got some turns to navigate.
He's still attacking. Did you see him attack that curb in 3?
Well, he's got an 8-second lead, so that turning the fuel map to setting 1 for Pagenaud must have been, we need to save more to make it to the checkers.
Or there's a code there. One's not really 1, maybe one's 5. You never know.
Maybe he wants to have a 9-second lead just to in the racing style. What a perfect drive. What a great execution.
Bourdais has won four times in the last 3 years with the KV Racing team. The last time someone won from last starting spot in an IndyCar Series race, 2014, Scott Dixon at Mid-Ohio. Final corner. A 36th career win and a hometown checkered flag for St. Petersburg, Sebastian Bourdais and Dale Coyne Racing.
Wow. Last to first, Seb. Nice job. Last to first. Great job. Exercise the demon at 2003. I have to ask you to take care of that engine. If you decide to do any donuts, no abuse. Do it in lap 1. No abuse of that engine. We need it for quite a while.
There you go.
Yeah, that wasn't
that's
me.
Dale Coyne. Rick, anything from Dale Coyne?
I do indeed think Dale Coyne is going to have something to say. Can you believe what just happened today?
From last to first, it's about all you can do.
All right, now I know you spent a lot of money. You hired Sebastian Bourdais. You spent a lot of money in engineering, shocks, all that kind of stuff. But did you really believe you could win the first race?
We knew we would be much better than we were before, and I think everybody did the perfect job today. Our strategy was good. He did a great job. We got him up there. It all worked out perfect.
All right, let's talk about those last few laps, because you were working the traffic here pretty hard, talking to Honda, getting traffic out of the way. Explain what you did.
Well, we just, anything can happen. Somebody can bog you up, and if he's up, he gets up behind us, then he can get us. So you always want to see the multiple seconds lead, not just tenths. So we're going for everything.
All right, congratulations to Dale Coyne. You got to go down to victory lane, buddy.
We're going to eat some barbecue tonight at his house. So.
Let's see, he got the sponsor in, he got Seb's hometown in, and he's got a big smile because he's got a win
He
for his
told him
race
to
team.
take care of that engine when he's doing those burnouts.
Yeah, it was a little late for that, wasn't it? Hey, take care of that engine. Sorry, boss, I'm going to celebrate.
Go back and look at that and say, that wasn't me.
Bourdais wins, victory lane next.
And I don't think even he can believe it. When he came into the pit lane immediately afterwards, Sebastian is a very composed guy. He had his helmet in his hand, his face down, unable to believe that he had just pulled off an incredible victory going from last place to first. Let's get Sebastian down off the car. He's got to be a little exhausted because that had to be quite a race. Once again, going all the way from last to first, hugging his engineer, Craig Hampson, right there. Sebastian Bourdais. I want to go back to yesterday when you slid off the track. First, got to get a hug from his wife, Claire. She was so nervous watching from the pit lane the entire time. Remember that last year when KV Racing, it looked like it was going to go away, Sebastian Bourdais had to figure out what his plan was for this year. And you went to Dale Coyne. A lot of people thought, really? Why are you going to go to Dale Coyne?
Just because of that. I can't talk, man.
Now, once again, I've known Sebastian for a long time. He's a calm, composed kind of guy. To have this kind of emotion means a lot. But once again, let's go back to yesterday. When you slid off the track, you had to think that this was gone.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's probably the hardest race to recover. The windows are super narrow, and it's really hard to pass. And, every time we come here and we look like we got a reasonable car, and it was the case. We had a pretty good car, and I just threw it away, and I just really didn't know what to do with myself, to be honest. And to turn that from the result from yesterday to today is just, I just don't know what to say except thank you to the guys.
And it's a great achievement, but why is this one so emotional for you?
Well, because it's the first one. It's putting the band back together, and hopefully we'll have many more days like that.
Once again, Sebastian Bourdais, the winner here at St. Petersburg, going from last place to first.
You did great. It's like the good old days.
The Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, Sunday, April 9th on NBCSN.